We are going to start with our first topic, which is going to be lithic age. Okay, so when we are talking about lithic age, there are a few terminologies that you should understand. So when we are talking, Pratik, जो नोट 5 है वो खोल देंगे. कल वाला PDF खोल दीजिएगा. Thank you. So, before starting the details of the topic, there are a few terminologies that you should understand. First is prehistory. So these are three terminologies. Okay, yesterday we talked about sources. So whenever you have to understand a particular period, you look at the sources, you look at the details which are available based on different kind of sources, be it archaeological, be it literary or architectural or any other source. Okay, now so when we are talking about written evidence, that is not available when it comes to prehistory. So prehistory is a time period when we don't have written resources available for us. Okay, so any history where humans have not left imprint of writing, that will come under prehistory. Okay, so when we are talking about lithic age, then humans were not writing. So that is going to come under prehistory. Now when we are talking about proto-history, what this terminology means? So a time when written evidence is available, but we are not able to read either the script or the language. Okay, so it might be the case, see, humans have formed language, they have written a lot of literature, but after a time this might be a case that we stopped understanding those languages because they were not in use. Okay, there are a lot of languages which we still don't know, literature we still can't understand. So a time of history when we do have written evidence available, but we have not been able to either read the script or to understand the language, that will come under proto-history. A very famous example from India would be Indus Valley civilization. Okay, coming to history, so a time from when we have written evidence available. Okay, here there is one thing that is often contentious. So when we talk about Vedic era, so from Vedic age we do have written evidence available because Vedas are there, but some people say that since the Vedas were not exactly written at that point of time, transmission was happening orally. Okay, but most of the people consider it a part of history only. Okay, so this is the basic difference. No availability of written resources, availability of written resources, but we don't understand them, and from here availability of written resources, but we also understand them. So write down these terms. Have you already written it? Everybody? Okay, that's great. So should we move then? Okay, so today we are going to discuss prehistory first. Now when we are talking about prehistory, the term that we use is lithic age. What do we mean by lithic? Lithic means stone. So see, when terminologies are given, how do we categorize certain areas of history is based on our understanding of certain important things. Why am I saying this? See, when history was being written, when we are talking about India, mostly the process happened in 19th and 20th century. So at that point of time, technology was very important for people. Okay, industrial revolution had happened. There was a race for industrialization in almost every country in Europe. They were coming up with different colonies. So obviously technology was a very important thing. So when they had to look at the past, what they started thinking? They started categorizing area on the basis of technology. Okay, this is a basic understanding. This is not something anybody is going to ask you in the examination. So that became the reason why we call it lithic age. Okay, why? Because the tools that they were making, that was made of stone. So they are going to the idea of technology. That is why lithic age. Then you will see bronze age and then iron age. So they were looking at the metal or any stone which was used to make stones. Prominently in lithic age, humans were using stones. When we come to bronze age, they started using bronze. When we come to iron age, they started using iron. So this division of terminology was based on technology, because at that point of time technology was important for people, so they looked at the past in that way only. Okay, so this is the broad categorization. Today what we are going to do, we are going to study lithic age. Okay, so before going, just write this line, that to categorize the ancient past, we have borrowed the terminology from C.J. Thompson. So he is somebody who is doing it for writing the history of Europe. When we started writing history, we borrowed the same terminology. We have borrowed the terminology from C.J. Thompson, which was based on the technology used by humans. And then write lithic or stone, bronze, iron age. Written? Okay. Now before coming to lithic age, there are a few things that we need to understand. When we are talking about humans using stones, before that there is another story of evolution. Okay, so there are two kinds of evolutions which are taking place. One is biological and the second is cultural. Okay, what do we mean by that? When we are talking about evolution, we humans did not look the way we did. We were not biologically developed the way we are today. Okay, it has also had a very long history. Again, this part, you have seen that this is not being asked in the examination, but for understanding purpose, you should have a base. So here what is happening? Here biological evolution of human beings are happening. What was that biological evolution? So first we evolved from primates. Again, you don't need to go there. You need to just understand broad changes that were taking place. So what happened around 56 lakhs years ago? There was a division, Australopithecus. So this made humans different from the other species. How? In Australopithecus, you will see bipedalism is coming. What do we mean by bipedalism? Walking on two feet. And why this particular evolution became very important? So see, when we are talking about a time which is 56 lakhs years ago from now, that time was a time of ice age. Okay, it was a very harsh environment, and when there is a period of ice age, flora and fauna that is going to be limited. The kind of animals that can survive, they have to be very tough physically. They will fight with each other for resources. Okay, so there is a lack of resource at this point of time. People, different species were fighting with each other to control the resources because it was very limited. Now think about one species who could stand on 2 feet. Is it not a very big change? It was how? What will change if bipedalism is there amongst Australopithecus? You will be, when you are standing on 2 feet, your vision is going to be broad, because when you are on 4 feet, your vision is like this. When you are on 2 feet, you can look here as well, here as well. Okay, so that gave them an edge. How? Because now they can spot other species who are in other directions as well. This was one very big implication of bipedalism. Second implication that is there is that their hands are free. Now they can use those hands to do certain different activities. That is why this particular change has been called a very revolutionary change in the biological evolution of human beings. So what you can do, you can just make it like a flow chart. Biological evolution of human being, write Australopithecus, और नीचे ऐसे arrow करके you can write bipedalism. Okay. What was the implication? Here you can write broad vision, and here you can make another arrow and you can write freeing of 2 hands. Freeing of 2 hands. Written? Okay. Now there is going to be another change after some time. When I say after some time, it was after 36 lakhs years. After 36 lakhs years. Okay. See, when these changes are coming, these changes are not sudden. This is something that you need to understand. Any change is not sudden. It takes a lot of time. It will not happen suddenly that when they started walking on 2 feet, they will start doing something different. Because if they have to adapt to a different lifestyle, they need to understand the environment first, and it takes a lot of time. Because see, in today's time, we are very much used to rapid changes. So we think that things have happened in that way only, but that was not the case. What will happen after this? Species, Homo is going to evolve. Why are we categorizing them differently? Because they did something different from Australopithecus. So what was it that they did when we categorize Homo? So there is going to be Homo habilis. See, whenever a new change is coming, you will study a new species. Now when Homo habilis is coming, what is happening with Homo habilis, which is different from Australopithecus? They started using stone to protect themselves. Okay, this is the bigger change that is coming here, and from here cultural evolution of human being will start. Whenever this Homo habilis picked the first stone to kill others or to attack others, that is where cultural evolution of human beings start. Okay, so because this person is doing something different. Okay, this person is manipulating the nature by using a tool. What was the law of nature? That you have to use your physical prowess to fight. You have to use your physical prowess to emerge victorious. Now here they are not just relying on their physical faculties, they are relying on their mental faculties. This is one of the biggest changes that is going to come. because when they are picking up a stone, it is going to give them an edge over other species. Okay, so what Homo habilis is doing different? Homo habilis is using stone tools. Using stone tools. Okay, we also call him handy human because that human started using hands. So in bracket you can make it like this: using stone tools, handy human. Okay, so this is the change which is coming. Now the other change that will come, you have written it? Okay, the other change that is coming is with coming of Homo erectus. Okay, Homo erectus. What is the change that is coming here? So here this person is the first person to stand in a very erected manner. सीधा चलने वाला इंसान. ठीक है, so he started walking in an erected fashion. That is why this person is called Homo erectus. Okay, what else will happen with Homo erectus? So this human is responsible with discovery of fire. Okay, discovery of fire. His time period around 18 lakhs. Yes, 18 lakhs years ago. Do not go into these details. Okay, if you want to write it, but it's not that important to mug up, because see, there is a lot of information when it comes to UPSC. That is why at the very start I told you what kind of questions are being asked from which topic, so that you can be very much focused upon what to read and what to leave. Because when you are preparing for such an exam like UPSC, you need to know what not to read before you need to know what to read. Okay, so be very careful about what you are reading in what manner. Okay, so this person is coming around 18 lakhs years ago, and he or she is responsible with the discovery of fire. Okay, so now discovery of fire, another very revolutionary change is going to come in the life of humans, because earlier what they were doing, they were see, fire was already there, they were keeping that fire and they had to lit it all the time, so that they don't have to look for other sources of fire. लेके आए एक बार, जला के ही रखना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि अगर बुझ गया तो they don't have any other source. Okay, now they knew how to produce fire. So this was one of the biggest changes. Why? Ice age. So it is going to keep them warm. Other species are going to be afraid of them because they have fire lit around, and fire is something which burns people. So they can protect themselves as well. Okay, they don't have to eat raw meat. They can cook it. So it is going to make their digestive system even better. So this is how simultaneously what is happening, biological evolution is happening, but cultural evolution has started as well. Okay, now this is the first human. So these things were happening in African subcontinent. This is the first human who is supposed to have gone out of African subcontinent. Again, here also there are different historical debates and theories that humans have evolved in different parts of the world independently. You don't need to go there. Okay, that is not something which is in the purview of your syllabus. You need to know the basic details of how things happened. So this is supposed to be first human being who moved out of Africa. That means first human being to cover long distance. Okay, that is another thing you should remember. Now after him what is happening? Homo sapiens sapiens. Homo sapiens first, Homo sapiens. We call this human Neanderthal as well. You can remember Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens. So what is changing with this human being? With this human being, there is development of emotions. See, when you are living in a very harsh environment, you cannot actually feel good or bad about birth and death, because that is something that is going to be there. If you are, suppose if you have gone to kill an animal and one person got injured, they did not have the luxury to take that human back at home and to take care of him or her. They used to leave that person there only. Okay, so at this point of time, what is happening? Emotions are developing simultaneously. So what these things are happening in a very gradual way. When you are using stone, that means you are in a better position when compared to other species. When you are having fire, that means you can protect yourself. So when all these things are happening, life will gradually become easier for humans when compared to other species. That is why here what they can do, gradually they can also feel emotions, because they have the luxury to do it now. Okay, so here the biggest change that is happening is development or acknowledgement of emotions. Okay, how do we know that? So we find burials. If somebody has died, you leave them open, out in the open, because you don't have time, you don't have the luxury to cremate them or to burn them. Here they are doing the burial, they are burying their dead. That means obviously they are thinking something, they are feeling something, then only they are doing this practice. So presence of burial show the development and acknowledgement of emotions in Homo sapiens. So there is another terminology which is used for them, wise humans. Okay. What else is happening at this point of time? Development of language. Because see, when we speak, we feel that it is very natural to humans. But this is the Broca's, the development of the Broca's area has happened gradually again. Okay. Humans were not able to speak from the very start. If you look at animals, they don't have developed speech. So that is something that is not very natural in different species. So here you will see development of language. So why will that become important? When you can speak, you can pass on the acquired or accumulated knowledge to the next generation. If you have the experience that this particular plant is dangerous, or in this area you are going to find resources in this time of the year, this is something that you will be easily able to pass on to the next generation, because now you can speak. So the next generation will not have to start from zero. Okay, so this is another change which is coming here, development of language dash, and you can write humans can now pass on the accumulated knowledge to the next generation. So these things were happening around 1,35,000 years ago. Okay, Homo sapiens. The other species that will develop, Homo sapiens sapiens, which are us today. Homo sapiens sapiens. So what will change with Homo sapiens sapiens? So they are going to develop around 35 to 30,000 years ago. Okay. And what is going to change here? That they started doing a lot of things differently. Practice of agriculture, that is one. So first what they did, they started making paintings. The first change that is going to come. What does it indicate towards? Before starting agriculture, they started making paintings. That means you are expressing yourself in an artistic manner. Okay, so development of aesthetic sense or expressing yourself via art. Expressing yourself via art. That is the other major change that is going to come. Okay, so after that they'll start practicing agriculture, and whatever we do today, that is ascribed to Homo sapiens sapiens. Okay, so this is the large scale human biological evolution. Okay, we have talked about biological evolution. Now what is happening in terms of cultural evolution? So I told you that the first time humans picked up the stone, that is the beginning of the cultural evolution of humans, because now you are using your mental faculties as well, you are making changes in the environment. So manipulation of environment in a way, because now human is going against the law of nature too, by using his or her mental faculties to protect himself or herself against different species, okay, which was not a very natural phenomenon. So we have studied biological evolution. Now in terms of cultural evolution, so there we give the terminology lithic age. Okay, lithic age. Why lithic? Because they are using stone to produce tools. Okay, now see, when you are picking up a stone, you might have thrown it in a very raw manner, because the person does not know how to make effective tools, they are just starting it. Okay, after a time, with experience, a person will realize that if we are going to make edges there, if we can make it more sharper, then it will be more effective. So they might be doing that. After that, what they can understand that it is not easy to carry it around a lot because it's very heavy. So they will start making smaller tools. So when they started making tools, there is going to be a development in the process of tool making as well, because first you will start with anything, then with experience you will understand that these are certain changes that can be made which will make the tools lighter and sharper, easy to carry around and effective in use. Okay, so when we are talking about lithic age, again it's not a very stagnant time period. There are a lot of changes that are taking place. So whenever a change takes place, we categorize it into a different era or in a different age. So in lithic age, you will see that there is Paleolithic, Mesolithic and Neolithic. Okay, these are the three ages that we categorize lithic age into. So why Paleo? This is the old Stone Age. Okay, Meso, middle Stone Age. Neo matlab new Stone Age. So that means there is something profound that is happening. Middle, that means it's a period of transition. So middle is a period of transition. So what kind of transition? When we are in a transitionary phase, we are neither here nor there. Okay, so what are the changes that have taken place? Here humans were hunting and gathering. They will be hunting animals, they will be gathering fruits which are naturally available. Here what they started doing? Here they started practicing agriculture. What is happening? Here they started practicing agriculture. Okay, now what will, so here when they started practicing agriculture, again Any change will not come all of a sudden. So you will see that this is the transition phase in which they are transitioning from hunting and gathering to an agricultural society. Why they are doing it, we will discuss it in a while. Okay, so this is the basic change. You can make this in this way only because that will be more easier for you to revise. Lithic, Paleo, Meso, Neo. Make an arrow, period of transition. Here hunting and gathering, and here agriculture. Okay. Now, this is the broad categorization. We will start from Paleolithic. Okay. When we are starting from Paleolithic, first we need to understand the terminology. So what do we understand by the terminology? That it is lithic age. Why? Because humans were using stone to make tools, and in stone age there were a lot of changes that were coming in. That is why we categorize it into 3 parts. This is the first stage. So this is the meaning of the term old stone age. Logic you know, हमने पहले लिखा है that technology was using stone. Okay, what is the time period? So broadly 5 lakhs years ago to 10,000 years ago. 10,000 years ago. That is the broad terminology. Okay. Now, we have understood the terminology, we have understood the chronology. We need to understand what was happening in this age. What is the cultural change that humans are coming up with? Now see, again, I told you about this fact that humans are going to learn to make better tools with times. So there are going to be inner divisions even in Paleolithic. Now there you don't need to mug up each and everything. You just need to understand that it is a process of basic evolution and it is going to contain 3 phases. Lower, middle and upper. Okay. So why do they categorize it into lower, middle and upper? They categorize it because the nature of the tools are going to change. That is the basic reason, nothing more than that. But there are going to be a few common things between all 3 phases. That is why we call it Paleolithic, not Mesolithic. So let's first understand what are the common things between these 3 periods which are going to come under Paleolithic. So first I told you to go by economy of any particular time period. So did somebody say something? Okay. So when we are talking about economy, what kind of economy did they have? So they were relying on hunting and gathering. Hunting big animals because they were available and gathering fruits and roots or plants. Okay, that is the basic subsistence economy. So you should write economy. In this period, the economy was subsistence economy. What do we mean by subsistence economy? Yes, you will not gather or accumulate something. An economy where you have resources just to live. Okay, that is subsistence economy because you are subsisting. So, yes. So, in this period, the economy was subsistence economy where humans were hunting animals and gathering available plants, fruits and roots to eat. Roots to eat. Okay. So when we are talking about hunting and gathering, where are they living? what is the living arrangement? That is also one of the questions, because when you are hunting, you are going to find animals at one place. This is a harsh environment. There is not a very large number of animals who are going to live. You will have to move around. Okay, so at this age humans were nomadic. These are the key terms that you should remember, the key terms. Okay, nomadic, hunter, gatherers, nomadic people. Okay, nomadic is somebody who does not settle down at one place. So we know that they were nomadic people. They were moving from one area to another in search of resources. Now when they are living at one place, just for example 3 months or 4 months, then where are they living? What is the arrangement? So there are two kinds of sites. Habitation site and factory site. What is the habitation site? Where you live, you eat, you sleep. Okay, that is the habitation site. What is the factory site? Which is your work place. So where they used to make tools, that is going to be the factory site. So there are two kinds of sites. One is habitation site and second is factory site. Okay. So where are these located? Natural caves. Okay. They are not going to make houses just for a few months. Okay. So they used to live in natural caves. Okay. That is their habitation site. At most of the times what will happen? This habitation site is also going to be the factory site. Okay. Sometimes what will happen? That they might not find adequate stone there. So they locate a different area nearby where they can find stones and they can make tools. That is why these two terms are used. Again, this is just for your basic understanding. Questions will not be asked on these things. Okay. So living arrangement, living करके you can write habitation and factory site. Habitation site में where humans used to live. Where humans used to live. Factory site में dash करके लिख दीजिए where they used to make tools. And these are natural caves. So habitation लिखा है, उसके आगे लिखा है, उसके आगे dash करके write natural caves. Natural caves. Now their economy is subsistence. They are hunting and gathering. They are living in natural caves. What will they be eating? Something that they have hunted, something that they have gathered. That is going to be the eating material. Okay. Occupation, hunter and gatherer. That is their occupation. So when they are living and they are living in a harsh environment, what kind of polity will they be having, or what kind of social life will they be having? Will they practice any religion? Do we have any idea about that? So when we look at the life of these humans, we realize that they were living in bands. A band of maximum 40 people. Why maximum 40? Because there is lack of resources. Okay. Why then in 40? So that you can protect yourself. It is a harsh environment. So for protection they live in groups. But though the number in those groups are going to be limited because the resource is limited. Okay. So that is why they are living in a band of maximum 40 people. What kind of polity did they have? So when you look at their polity, you will realize that there was no distinction. So there was no such person who was a leader. There was no hierarchy which existed. So it was an egalitarian society where people were making collective decisions. Thank you. So it was an egalitarian, you can write that people were living people were living in the band of 40. Full stop. This was an egalitarian society. This was an egalitarian society where people were making collective decisions. Where people were making collective decisions. So the polity is collective decision making. Okay. When we are talking about society, so you will see that there was no discrimination on the basis of age or someone's gender. Okay, that is part of their society. No discrimination on the basis of age or gender. No discrimination on the basis of age or gender. Will they have leisure time? They will not have leisure time because they are living in ice age. So they will not have time to have fun because the environment is really harsh. Their economy is subsistence economy. They cannot sleep or do party and eat next day without hunting. They have to go to hunt. They have to go to gather plants. So they can't party. So the idea of leisure life was not there. Why? Because their environment did not allow them to have fun. Okay, it's not that they liked doing it, but when you don't have the luxury or privilege of having fun, you can't have fun. So this is something which was true for the humans of Paleolithic age. Okay, so this is something that you should keep in mind. Now going by the broad detail that we have had earlier, this is the time when discovery of fire will happen. This is the time when humans will start speaking. They will start doing burials gradually. Okay, so these things are going to happen simultaneously, जो भी आपने biological evolution में पढ़ा है. Now जब हम यहाँ बात कर रहे थे, what is this division all about? This is the basic lifestyle of human that we discuss in the whole Paleolithic age. Now there are going to be changes as well. So you will see that first humans are using, ऐसे करके बना लीजिए, again it will be easier for you to remember. Core tools. Core tools. What do we mean by core tools? So this is a stone and you are taking a stone and you are putting it against another stone. क्या किया? उसको ऐसे करके आपस में बैंग किया. उससे क्या होगा? कुछ हिस्सा टूट जाएगा. तो कुछ हिस्सा अगर टूट गया तो that area will be edgy. Okay, and that is the area from where you are going to do attacks. Something which will look like this. Okay, so they can use this to attack other animals and then they will be able to have an edge. इसको और क्या कर सकते हैं? कोई डंडे जैसी चीज को यहाँ पे बांध के they can use it again as a tool. What they'll realize? That you can make it more sharper. So this is another kind of tool that you will find. Okay, so this is the basic tool. Chop, we call this chopper chopping, we call this hand axe. Okay, this is going to be the tool for a very long period of time. Okay, so if you look at it, you can understand that this is going to harm a person, but it's not very easy to carry around. Okay, इतना बड़ा लगभग इनका shape होता है and it's stone. So you can think about the heaviness of the stone. So this is obviously going to provide them an edge, but it's not very easy to use. That is why changes are going to come and those changes will look like this. Okay. तो क्या करेंगे, ये दो स्टोन है, इनको आपस में ऐसे करके बैंग किया, साइड से जो एरिया निकला उसको तराश के कुछ ऐसा बना देंगे, ठीक है। सो दिस इज कोर एंड दिस इज फ्लेक्स। फ्लेक जो साइड का होता है उसको हम फ्लेक कहते हैं, ठीक है। सो इट विल लुक समथिंग लाइक दिस। आफ्टर अ पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम दे विल स्टार्ट मेकिंग टूल्स लाइक this, which is going to be much more lighter, much more polished in nature. So this is how they are going to come up with changes. Clear है ये? तो जो सबसे बड़े वाले होंगे वो इसमें होंगे, उससे थोड़े से छोटे यहां आएंगे, and then the last that we looked at, those tools are going to come in upper Paleolithic age. So write core tools, flakes, here also flakes, flakes and flakes. So when we are talking about lower Paleolithic, what is going to be the primary tool? That is hand axe. Chopper, chopping. Scraper, blade and burins. तो लार्जली हमको क्या याद रखना है कि पेलियोलिथिक एज में ये सारे टूल्स हैं. Chopper, chopping tools are there, hand axes are there, scrapers are there, blade and burins are there. Even if you are not able to remember this division, that's fine, because questions are not being asked on this. This is not the demand of your examination that you will be sitting in. Okay. So what you need to understand, that changes are taking place gradually. The first tools that the first tool they are going to make is going to be much more heavier to carry around, difficult to use. Then what they will do, they will move towards lighter and more effective tools. Lighter and effective tools, and this is something that is going to be carried on. Here we have seen that the blade and burins, they were even more lighter, even more effective. So they were like present day knives that we use. Okay. So this is something that is happening. Is when they started using scraper, does that mean they stopped using hand axes? No. See, whenever we talk about a change, that does not mean that you are going to dismantle the previous system completely. That is going to be less in use. Okay. The new technology that is coming, that will be used at a broad scale. That does not mean that the earlier technology is going to be completely taken off from usage. That was not the case. Okay. This is something which is happening. Is this much clear? कोई डाउट है यहां तक किसी को? ओके, नाउ मूविंग ऑन हियर. ओके, हियर व्हाट विल हैपन, जब ऐसे नीचे करके हमने देखा कि कुछ टूल्स होंगे. सी, थिंक अबाउट इट इन अ वेरी बेसिक वे. देयर विल बी सम टूल्स वेयर यू कैन यूज ओनली वन साइड, देयर विल बी सम टूल्स वेयर यू कैन यूज बोथ द साइड्स. कौन से टूल में एक साइड यूज करेंगे, कौन से में दोनों कर सकते हैं? नहीं, हैंड एक्स भी दो साइड का होता है. See, when you have ample space to hold a particular tool, you can use both the sides. When you don't have ample space to hold the tool, you will use only one side. कि एक साइड है उसको ऐसे करके पकड़े ताकि खुद को चोट ना लगे. ठीक है, जब पकड़ने का, जैसे हैंड एक्स में you can hold it from the bottom, so then you can use it by both sides. When you are making, for example, a blade, so there it's like this. So again there is an edge. You can use it from both sides. Your hand is not going to cut. Okay. But if there is a tool which cannot be held from one side, you are going to use only one. In the case of core tool that we saw, chopper, chopping. Okay. कि ऊपर से उसको बनाया कि वहां से यूज करेंगे, एज बनाया, और नीचे से पूरा प्रॉपर ऐसे करके पकड़ने का बनाया. the first that we saw. Okay, this is very common thing to understand. Okay, now when we come here in upper Paleolithic age, humans also started using stone and bone. Okay, they also started using bone tools. How these tools are being used? Hunting animals, chopping the meat or cutting the meat, digging. Digging क्यों? क्योंकि dig करके roots निकाल रहे हैं. Skinning the animal. So the basic usage is hunting, chopping meat, skinning the animal, and digging. Okay. Now, what are the important sites that you should remember? Again, there are a number of sites which are present. I will tell you the sites which are important from exam perspective. Okay, and why, that is one logic that I am going to tell you shortly. This is the site Bhimbetka which you should remember. Where is Bhimbetka located? In present day Madhya Pradesh. Okay, Bhimbetka, Adamgarh you should remember. Bhimbetka and Adamgarh. Then remember this site Didwana from Rajasthan. Didwana from Rajasthan. So write these names. Bhimbetka, sites लिख के, important sites. Bhimbetka, Adamgarh. In present day Madhya Pradesh. Nevasa, in present day Maharashtra. Didwana, in present day Rajasthan. Didwana, Didwana. Present day Madhya Pradesh. Mirzapur, Rajasthan. Madhya Pradesh was Bhimbetka and Adamgarh. Mirzapur, present day Uttar Pradesh. Present day Uttar Pradesh. Okay, remember these sites and write etc. Because there are a lot of sites. Okay, why do you need to remember these sites? Because at this point of time, in upper Paleolithic age, you will see that humans started painting as well. Okay, so we talked about Homo sapiens, sapiens. This collide with the time period of upper Paleolithic age, around 35,000 years ago. So what started happening here? The ice gradually started melting. There was a very big environmental change that was going to come. So when ice will start melting, the lifestyle will start becoming easier when compared to earlier lifestyle. So they will have a bit more resources, they will have a bit more time. Okay, so they can also make art, and the sites that I made you write down, those are important rock art sites. That is why those sites are important to remember. Okay, so this is one of the factual details that you should remember. Rock paintings started in upper Paleolithic age. In upper Paleolithic age. In upper Paleolithic age. Okay, this is again one thing which confuses people, because when humans started painting, they were not painting at a large scale. They started making very big paintings in upper Paleolithic age. So often if you ask people, they will say that painting started in Mesolithic era, which is factually incorrect. There are less number of paintings, but it started from upper Paleolithic only. How did they look like? They looked something like this. This is from a later period, not from upper Paleolithic. I'll tell you why am I showing you the pictures from later period. Okay. When these paintings were being done, what was the issue? If you go to Bhimbetka even today, you will not be able to understand what is painted on the wall. Why? Because they have painted one wall 20 times, 25 times. So they are making one painting over the other, then they are repainting it. So that is why it's very difficult to understand what is painted. Okay, so a person who is expert in that person will be able to figure out what is painted. So there is this scholar from Deccan College, Pune. He has made sketches of those paintings from Bhimbetka, Yashodhar Mathpal. So we rely on those sketches. That is why if you look at books also, they will not give you photographs because you can't photograph it. Even if you are photographing it, you will not be able to understand what is there. So that is why in books also you will see there are sketches. This is from one which is relatively better. This is from Mesolithic, this is from Chalcolithic. So these are some of the better preserved paintings. So that is why these are the images that you are going to find. Okay, now coming back to upper Paleolithic age, I will do rock art together. Mesolithic का अलग नहीं, upper Paleolithic का अलग नहीं, because this is a subjective question where you need to understand the development that is taking place. So you need to know factually that it started here, but we will cover it after Mesolithic. Okay, clear है ये चीज? So this is something about Paleolithic. Is there any doubt? कुछ पूछना है आपको इसमें? Everything is clear. Okay. So the second stage of development is Mesolithic. Mesolithic. What is the key terminology here? This is Middle Paleolithic age and this is a period of transition. Okay, period of transition. What is the chronology? Broadly 10,000 to 6,000 BCE. to 6,000 BCE. Okay. Now what is happening at this point of time? Ice age is disappearing. Okay. This is a period which is relatively warmer, relatively humid. So what will happen when ice is going to melt? Coming of rivers. That is the one thing which will happen. Rainfall will be there because the environment is warmer as well as humid. Okay. So the key changes, the key environmental changes are going to lead to rainfall, coming of rivers. When rainfall will be there, rivers will be there, what else will happen? Vegetation first, then you will come to agriculture. So in this period of time, what will happen? Heavy vegetation. Okay. Coming of small animals. Why? Because now they can survive. They have enough plants to eat. They have proper water to drink. Okay. What will humans do? They would move to a better lifestyle. Why? Because the environment is not harsh enough. They don't have to live in natural caves. They can come near rivers because there they are going to find smaller animals. They will come to drink water. Okay. They can find proper vegetation alongside it. So their food requirement, their resource requirement is going to be fulfilled. So from the natural caves in the harsh environment, they will move towards river beds. Okay, that is one change that will come in the life of a human. See, when we are living even today, why are we working? Why do we study? So that we can acquire resources easily when compared to other people. Your lifestyle need is acquiring resources so that you can lead to a better lifestyle. We study, we give exams so that we can do it easily when compared to others. We choose better lifestyles, easy lifestyles for ourselves. So why are we doing it? For resources. Humans have been doing it for centuries, you can say, or for 1,000 lakhs of years, you can say. Okay, so when these people are getting resources easily, why would they live a harsh lifestyle then? So they are also going to move towards rivers. When they are getting easy access of resources, they will be drawn towards that. Okay, so this is one lifestyle change that will come. Now, why is it happening? Because there are environmental changes. Okay, no matter how much humans are trying to manipulate nature, environment is going to have a very important say in the kind of lifestyle that we are going to lead. So here also what is happening? Environmental changes are happening. Rainfall, more humid environment, rivers, coming of smaller animals, flora and fauna. What will human do? From caves to river beds. Okay, so have you written environmental changes? Environmental changes are going to lead to more humid climate, rainfall, coming of rivers, which will lead to larger changes in the life of humans, as now they have smaller animals and varied plants to eat. स्मॉलर एनिमल्स के आने के साथ क्या चेंज आएगा इकोनॉमी में? डोमेस्टिकेशन ऑफ एनिमल्स. They can't domesticate a rhinoceros, but they can domesticate a dog. Okay, so when smaller animals are coming, humans will start domesticating them as well. So here what will be the economy? Hunting is going to be there, but they are hunting smaller animals now. Gathering is going to be there, but it will not be that difficult. Okay, they are also going to do fishing, because with the coming of rivers, there is going to be fish in the river. So they will also move to fishing. So here economy, hunting, gathering, what has changed? Fishing. Common domestication of animals. Domestication of animals. Now see, when they are domesticating the animals, again they are making a change in the nature, because animals were not supposed to be domesticated. Humans started domesticating them. So again they are manipulating the nature according to their own need. What are the animals that they are going to domesticate? Prominently dogs, sheep, goat. Okay, later they'll start domesticating cattle as well when they'll start doing agriculture. Okay, so here we know that they are domesticating smaller animals for their need to watch over the living arrangement. So dog is going to do that. 2, for the purpose of eating meat and having milk. Okay, that is the purpose. Okay. Now domestication is happening. What else will happen? When they are hunting smaller animals, isn't the quality and technique of tool going to change? That will also change. Now you have to hunt smaller animals. So you will see that the tool that is prominent at this time is microlith. Lith, stone, micro, which is very small. So you will see that these tools are around 4 inches. ठीक है, तो इतने बड़े बड़े ये लगभग टूल्स बनाएंगे. ठीक है, कैसे होंगे? ज्योमेट्रिकल पैटर्न्स, ट्राइंगल, स्क्वायर. हाउ दीज कैन बी यूज्ड? लाइक बो एंड एरो. यहां क्या किया? ऐसे करके डंडे सा लगाया. They can use it as an arrow. Okay, so these are called microliths, and this is a very big change that is coming in the tool technology. They are very smaller tools. They can be used as bow and arrow. They can be used as harpoon. Okay, harpoon क्या होता है? भाला. तो harpoon की तरह यूज कर सकते हैं उसको बो एंड आरो की तरह यूज कर सकते हैं. अगेन दैट डज नॉट मीन दैट हैंड एक्सेस आर नॉट गोइंग टू बी देयर. हैंड एक्सेस विल आल्सो बी देयर, बट द लार्जर टूल ऑफ दिस टाइम इज माइक्रोलिथ. ओके, क्लियर है ये चीज? तो टूल टेक्नोलॉजी करके लिखिए. Microliths in bracket smaller tools, smaller stone tools or smaller tools. Microliths bracket close, which were of 4 inches having geometrical patterns like triangle or square, were being used as arrows, fish hooks, harpoons, etc. Okay, so when we are looking at the economy, it is turning towards domestication of animals along with hunting and gathering. What else has happened? That the tool technology has changed. That is part of craft production. So tool technology has changed. What else will happen? Their lifestyle will change. They will now live near riverbeds. So this is also one point that you should write. Make a point, living near riverbeds. Now this is part of their economy, this is part of their living pattern. How their polity will look like? When we are talking about polity, when we are talking about society, so there are going to be certain changes. And how do we know about these changes? You will see that there is a kind of stratification. Which will start emerging. What kind of stratification? What do we mean by stratification? Hierarchy. Okay, hierarchy. Now, when we are talking about stratification, how do we know that the society was stratified? नहीं, हमें कैसे पता लगेगा? नहीं, लेकिन इनका घर पे काम क्या है? No, see, when you are looking at this society, I told you that there was no distinction on the basis of age or gender. Women were also hunting. Mostly the work of foraging was done by women, and that was part of larger eating pattern. So if you look at this society, women were doing more productive work because they were the gatherers of plants, and plants were being eaten at a very large scale. You can't hunt an animal every day. So that is not the change that is coming. I am asking, how will you know about stratification, that any society is stratified? नहीं, आप टर्मिनोलॉजीज बता रहे हैं बड़ी बड़ी, सरप्लस है, डिस्टिंक्शन है, पता कैसे लगेगा बेसिक? इफ यू आर गोइंग आउट, suppose in today's time you are going out and you want to know that society is stratified, you will look at people's houses. Some houses might be 2-storied, some might be 3-storied. At some houses you will find that there is use of marble, some houses are made of mud. Okay, that is the general way of understanding hierarchy in a society, how people's living arrangements look like. That is the biggest clue. Okay, here we have talked about this fact yesterday that most of the houses have not survived. ये हमारे पास तरीका है नहीं अभी के टाइम में. दूसरा तरीका क्या है? You will go to their burial sites. So when burial is happening, when they are burying the dead, what they are doing? They are burying the dead with certain things. So if there is one burial where there is only one stone tool, there is another burial where there is some ornament made of stone only, but there is some ornament and there are more tools. That means that person had more resources. Okay, so to understand stratification in any society, you will look at ritualistic tradition. अगर present day में देखना हो, rituals होते हैं. The idea of दान, donation is there. Someone donates more, someone donates less when compared to the other person. That is the way of knowing stratification in the society. Go to the very basics. Okay, and history is going to become way too easier for you, because when you are understanding the larger conceptual details, you know, आपको अब यहाँ याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है ना. Whenever you have to write about stratification in society, you can write it that there was a distinction in burials, housing patterns were uneven. आपको लार्जली पता है that society was stratified. इसके बाद से इक्वालिटी का आइडिया तो मिलेगा नहीं. It was the Paleolithic age when there was this idea of egalitarianism. So whenever we are talking about any society, you can use these 2 points, that there was stratification in the society. How do we know it? Based on housing pattern, based on burial pattern. This is something which is going to be common. Okay. So here what do we find? We find stratification in burials. So we know that society was stratified to certain extent, right? Society was stratified to certain extent. As we can see, a clear distinction in materials, in bracket tools and jewelry. As we can see, can you please repeat it for me? As we can see, a clear distinction in materials which are buried with the dead, Okay. Someone might have more resources. When you are burying the dead with some tools or some jewelry, what is the underlying idea behind it? That you believe in afterlife. It might be just the after that a person is dead and now he is going to have a different life. There might be the idea of another birth that we can't know unless or until there are written records. But when you are burying something, there is this underlying idea that this person might need these things. तो हमको ये तो पता है कि क्लियरली आफ्टर लाइफ है, ठीक है. तो आफ्टर लाइफ है, अगर आप किसी के साथ किसी की चीजें बरी करेंगे, कोई भी इंसान है उसके डेड बॉडी के साथ उससे जुड़ी चीजें बरी करेंगे, यही चीज करेंगे ना, उससे जुड़ी चीजें बरी करेंगे. किसी इंसान से जुड़ी चीजें कम हैं, किसी इंसान से जुड़ी चीजें ज्यादा हैं. तो इट डज इंडिकेट टुवर्ड्स इनइक्वालिटी, because there is one person who is owning more resources, there is one person who is owning relatively less resources. Okay, does that answer your question? Okay, so this is how we know that there was certain kind of social stratification in the society which started emerging. What else do we know? So we are relying ourselves on the basis of painting, that these people believed in some laws, you can say, in the band. Okay, अभी हम बात करेंगे किस चीज में यकीन करते थे. They were performing certain rituals. Just write these key terms. They used to perform certain rituals and believed in the idea of mourning. Believed in the idea of mourning. Believed in the idea of mourning. Mourning माने रोना, किसी की डेथ के बाद उसको मोर्न करना, शोक करना, that is mourning. Okay, mourning, mourning. So these things are happening. Now how do we know that? So we have rock paintings at our disposal. Rock paintings. Again, I already told you that there is a limitation. We don't have photographs. So I am going to tell you, I am going to make rough sketches and I am going to tell you how these paintings looked like. Okay. So when you look at these paintings, when you are looking at any painting, does it not tell you about the society of that time? When we are looking at paintings, they are going to paint the things which were important to them or which were present in the society. So when we look at paintings, what kind of paintings are there? So there is one painting where there is a pond. Okay, try going to IGNCA's website and see if there are any paintings there. I am not sure about Odisha, but in Delhi they do certain exhibitions which are based on Yashodhar Mathpal's sketches of Bhimbetka paintings. So there they exhibit all these sketches. Okay, so what are the paintings which are there? There is a pond and there is a lot of fish. ऐसे करके इसमें fish बनाया है and there is a fish net that is there. Okay, there are two people. So you will see the humans are shown in a stick like figure. Okay, there are two humans who are sitting here, probably waiting for this net to catch some fish. Okay, there are three people who are sitting here talking to each other, probably talking to each other or sitting idle. Okay, so this is one of the paintings that is there. So what does it tell us about the society? That fishing was an important activity. They were using fish nets and fish was an important part of their diet. Okay, so if you come to Eastern India, fish is still a very important diet in people's eating habit, a continuation from Mesolithic times only. Okay, तो आपको बोला था साथ में that you have to trace the continuities to today's time as well. Okay, in Eastern India you will see that rainfall is higher, so rice can be cultivated very easily. If you go to western parts, there people cultivate wheat. क्यों करते हैं? मिट्टी उसके लिए ज्यादा उपयुक्त है. The quality of soil will not support the production of rice in the areas of eastern India, that is more feasible. So you will see that the first remains of rice production comes from Koldeva, which is in present day Uttar Pradesh, eastern Uttar Pradesh, that is part of eastern India. तो आपको हिस्टोरिकली भी ये फूड पैटर्न में चेंज देखने के लिए मिलता है कि नॉर्थ में डिफरेंट है, ईस्ट में डिफरेंट है. इफ यू गो टू साउथ दैट इज अ बिट different. Ragi was a very important crop there. Okay, so we know that fish became a very important part of their diet. Okay, this is one of the paintings. What are the other paintings? So you will see there is a tree, okay, and there is a honeycomb, and there are people who are collecting honey from the honeycomb. Okay, and some part of honey is shown like this. इसका क्या मतलब है? It is falling from the honeycomb when they are trying to collect the honey, and there are some monkeys who are shown grabbing it. So think about a time when humans were living such a harsh life, when they could not even mourn the dead, and now they are noticing such smaller playful details of life, then only they are painting it. Okay, so with the changes in environment, there is going to be a very big change, and you will see this being reflected in a very playful manner in the kind of paintings that they have produced. In the very same painting, you will see that there are women and they are holding a basket like this, and it is full of plants and roots. Okay, that is another thing that you will see, and there is a very clear cut depiction in the way they have shown a woman and a man. They have very clearly depicted breasts here, which shows that this is a woman. Okay, so this is the painting. Here what do we know? We know that forest was an area which was not only their home, they were also collecting fruits from there. So they were looking at forests as providers. Okay, forest was the area of conflict, animals hai, but forest was also a provider for them. Okay, this is another painting. Now there is another painting which I find very interesting. So there is this arrangement, a hut-like arrangement, and there are two people. This is a woman who is sitting here, and there is a man, and her stomach is shown in an X-ray style. There are two fish in it. So what they are trying to show? That probably she has just consumed food and she has consumed fish. Okay, so these are also the kind of paintings that you will find there. So what are we looking at? We are looking at a picture of family life as well. And at this point of time, when they are living near riverbeds, they are obviously making huts. And what kind of huts are they making? They are making huts of stone. तो कैसे बनाते थे? एक बड़ा सा पत्थर लिया, उसको इस तरफ लगाया, ऐसे लगाया, पीछे में एक लगाया, यहाँ पर एक लगाया और ऊपर से इसको कवर कर दिया. Okay, so it was semi-sedentary. They are still not making houses out of mud or out of bricks, but they are making houses on their own. So this is the kind of house that has been shown here. Other details of family life you also find. What kind of detail? Again, there is a hut-like figure. There are women who are sitting here grinding some roots. Okay, and there is one woman who is breastfeeding the baby, who is also sitting here, and there are 3-4 babies who are playing here. Okay, so again a very vivid picture of the kind of life that they were leading. Now what they are doing, they have leisure time, then only they are painting, then only they are noticing such details of life and they are painting it. So obviously life has become much easier. Why? Because there is plenty of resources. Again, the idea of resources plays a very strong role when it comes to having privilege and having leisure. That is very much true here when compared to the lifestyle of upper Paleolithic or Paleolithic age. Okay, what are other kind of painting? This is showing them collecting fruits, the idea of forest as a provider and their family life. What about forest as a place of conflict? So you will find that there are paintings of hunting as well. So what they are doing? And hunting mostly is in community. Okay, they are not hunting alone. So you will see that there is a group of people who are having bows and arrows and they are killing an animal. The animal is shot dead here. This is one painting. The other painting you will see that there is a row of people who are standing here holding their hands together. They have formed a group like this. ये यहाँ पे ऐसे खड़े हैं. Imagine that this is a line of humans and there is an animal who is dead here and these people are singing and dancing. How do we know they are singing? ऐसे ऐसे करके यहाँ पे इन्होंने बनाया है line which shows that they are probably speaking something, singing something. And one person who is here, that person is wearing a mask. So only one person is wearing a mask. That means he might be a leader. There is this idea of social stratification that is very much visible in the burials that we found. Okay, and here you will see in the paintings also there is one kind of division that is very much visible. Okay, there is another painting where it looks like this. There is a person who is buried here. Okay, so that means that person is dead and there are two women who are sitting here and they have their hand like this put on head. That means they are crying, they are very much upset with the death, and there are two men, one of them sitting in the same pose and one of them is sitting normally. That means there is this idea of mourning, there is this idea of feeling sad when somebody has died. Okay, so again if you just look at the paintings you can reconstruct the life of early human. What kind of social life were they leading? Okay, another very rare painting which is there, which I like a lot, there is a reason to that. If you look at the artistic history of India, you will find that there are a lot of paintings, lot of sculptures, lot of relief sculptures, temples, a lot of artistic activity has taken place in India in terms of literature, in terms of art and architecture, in terms of paintings. Do we know who has made them? We know who has given money. This king or this queen has given money. Do we know exactly the name of the painter or name of the person who has sculpted certain sculpture? It's very rare. There is an art historian named R.N. Mishra who has tried to work on it and he has come up with certain names where we do know exactly who has painted a painting, who has made a sculpture, but it's very rare. There is this idea of self-effacement, that means not telling your identity even when you are creating marvels. अभी हम क्या करते हैं, एक sketch बनाते हैं, नीचे sign कर देते हैं, which is good. I am not saying it's a bad thing, but there is this idea of owning your creation. Okay, when you look at the history of ancient India specifically in terms of art and architecture, medieval India in terms of literature, you will see that we don't find names of these people. It's very rare. So the idea of self-representation is very rare. The idea of revealing your name is very rare. I'll show you one of the sculptures from Mauryan period, which is the first signed sculpture from ancient India. उसमें क्या किया, नीचे जो pedestal है उस पर the person who has sculpted it, he has left his name and the name of his guru who taught him how to sculpt. That is the first signed sculpture from ancient India. Okay, here this painting depicts the self representation of artists. So where is it painted? जो ceiling है cave का उसके ऊपर पेंट किया है, ठीक है. And what is shown there? What is happening? So what is shown there? So this looks like a ladder which is shown, and there is another one here, and they have shown that this is a roof. Ladder है तो roof होगा, roof को paint कर रहे हैं, ठीक है. There is one person who is painting it. There are two people who are passing on a few things to that person who is painting it, and the same thing is there, and the painting is done on the ceiling itself. So that means they are trying to show how we are painting a ceiling. So self representation of an artist, it is there in Bhimbedka. So again, they have a kind of artistic creativity in terms of painting. At the same time, they are also very aware of showing people how they are performing this very activity. Okay, so these are some of the representative paintings. There are a lot of them, but if you are able to remember this much, you will be able to give plenty of examples if there is one question which is being asked on rock paintings. Okay, now here the question arises, why they were painting? We know the subject matter of the painting. Subject matter is daily life activity, in terms of the food they are eating, in terms of the family life they are having, in terms of the way they are acquiring their food resources, in terms of their cultural identity as an artist or as people who have emotions. That is the subject matter. Okay, what are they using to paint? So the color is naturally acquired. So green will be very prominent, white will be very prominent, red will be very prominent. Okay, because those colors can be acquired naturally very easily. Okay, so those are the colors. How they are painting it? They are using lines, wavy lines, straight lines, and they are making stick-like figures who are human beings. That means that we know, technicality we know. Why were they painting it? Can you think of any reason why they must be painting it? Okay. Out of interest. So there are certain scholars who have given different reasons. What do they say? Whenever we live in a place, we have this urge to decorate our room, to make it look more beautiful. These areas were their houses. Okay. So scholars say that one reason might be that they wanted beautification of the places they were living in. Okay. Second is utility, that they were painting it just to reflect their lifestyles. But why are they if they want to reflect their lifestyle, why are they painting over one another painting? What might be the reason behind it? So here there is another scholar. Again, you don't need to remember the names of the scholars. आपको basic चीजें पता होनी चाहिए कि ये है, ये है, ये है. ठीक है? You have to write one answer in 150 words. So you need to be very selective of the words you choose. Another reason that has been given is they probably might be believing in some kind of totkas. You can say totems. Okay. How? Paint किया है, hunting scene दिखाया है. They are going out to hunt. They might have believed that if we have painted the animal there dead, so their soul is somehow captured there in that painting, and we will be able to defeat that animal easily. Okay, that is one of the reasons that has been given. How these reasons are being given? See, even in today's times, we are living a life with technology. But still in this time, in 2023 also, there are certain tribes, there are certain communities who are living a life like this only. They choose to live like this. See, why do we change? Because there is an impetus for change. If you don't have an impetus for change, why would you change? Change is always scary. So people are going to change their lifestyle because there is a certain pressure to change it. If they are getting all their resources in the forest itself, they will not change their lifestyle. Okay, so when we look at those, what historians do, there is this idea of ethnoarchaeology. तो उसमें क्या होता है, you will go to a society, you have found certain tools. अब आप ये देखेंगे कौन सी सोसाइटी है जो इस तरह के टूल्स को यूज कर रही है, अगर कर रही है तो क्या उनका लाइफस्टाइल है, and then you will try to compare the lifestyle with Paleolithic or Mesolithic. Okay, so when these kind of studies were conducted, it was found that these people also believed in some kind of magic. On the basis of that, this idea has been given that they believed in some kind of totems or magics. Okay, that they can somehow win over the animals by making a painting before hunt. That is also one of the reasons. तो ये आपके reasons हो गए. Now what is the importance of these paintings for us? So they are used as very important sources of history writing, because when you are looking at tools, you can't predict a lot about society. You can talk about tool technology, but if you have to talk about the social life of people, you need sources like these. Okay, so they are very important source for us to reconstruct the social cultural history of that time. The second very important thing is that, see, even today we have a painting tradition which is alive and that is there for centuries. In India, when you will study art and culture, you will study this tradition of painting for a very long period of time which is present in India. This is the first time when there is this evidence of painting in lithic age from upper Paleolithic to Mesolithic. तो ये क्या है, एक बहुत लॉन्ग चेन की पहली कड़ी है. ठीक है, so that is also one of the cultural importances of these paintings for Indian subcontinent, that this is the first part in the cultural history of Indian subcontinent. Okay, so those are the importances of these paintings. Okay, तो ये आपको कुछ बेसिक चीजें ध्यान रखनी है. If you have to compare it with present times, just give me a minute. Look at this painting. Does it not look something similar? Here again they have painted a hut. There is this कोकोनट ट्री प्रोबेबली, यहाँ पे वो जो कोकोनट है या कोई जो एक पेड़ होता है जिसमें से निकालते हैं कुछ लिक्विड होता है विच पीपल ड्रिंक. सो दैट मीन्स आइडिया ऑफ, हाँ, ईस्टर्न इंडिया में बहुत प्रोमिनेंट है, इंटॉक्सिकेटिंग भी होता है. सो बट यूजिंग द आइडिया ऑफ यूजिंग फॉरेस्ट और यूजिंग ट्रीज एज प्रोवाइडर्स, that is present there. You can see that these women are carrying baskets. हमने ऐसा ही कुछ पेंटिंग देखा था पहले भी. यहां पर आप देखेंगे कि यहां बैठ के कुछ ग्राइंड कर रहे हैं, यहां पे बास्केट्स रखा है, इसका मतलब कुछ यहां पे फूड से रिलेटेड ही हो रहा है. You can see that people are dancing here. Why am I showing you this painting? So that you can understand the continuities in tradition. Varli painting is part of our contemporary paintings. People still paint these. Look at these paintings. They are stick-like figures only in terms of color, in terms of technique, in terms of the subject matter. There is a huge similarity that you can find. तो ये सारे पेंटिंग्स में अगर आप देखेंगे तो उनका सोशल, एक हमने ऐसे बात किया था कि इस तरह की भी पेंटिंग जो आपको मीजोलिथिक में मिलती है, कम्युनिटी डांस. ओके, सो इफ समबडी आस्क्स यू टू ट्रेस अ सिमिलैरिटी विद कंटेम्पररी पेंटिंग्स, कैन यू नॉट डू इट? यू हैव टू लुक एट सर्टेन थीम्स. व्हाट इज द कलर दैट इज बीइंग यूज्ड? वहां व्हाइट है, रेड है, ग्रीन है, बहुत प्रोमिनेंटली यहां व्हाइट है. वन सिमिलैरिटी. सेकंड, दीज आर ऑल्सो बीइंग पेंटेड on the walls of their houses. Those paintings are also on the walls of their houses. Technique, stick like figure, stick like figure. Subject matter, more or less the subject matter is same, lifestyle of the human beings in terms of how they are leading their life, what they are eating, how is their community life. That is the basic subject matter, still the same. There also we have seen the same thing. Purpose, decorating their walls, expressing their emotions, they are also expressing their emotions. What you have to do when you are studying history, just look at the visuals simultaneously. It will become much more easier. If you have looked at it, you don't need to read anything. पता है आपको कि क्या चीजें पेंट की हैं, क्या कलर है, कहां पेंट किया है, क्या टेक्निक है. It is going to stay with you. Okay, so these kind of questions can be answered very easily, which seem difficult if you look at them in a very simple manner. आप बहुत सोचे ना और आप सिर्फ देखें तो आपको लगेगा कि सवालों का जवाब देना आसान नहीं है, अगर कंपेयर करने के लिए बोल रहे हैं. यू जस्ट नीड टू रिमेंबर दैट दिस इज वारली पेंटिंग. ये तो ऐसे भी पढ़ेंगे जब प्रीलिम्स के लिए पढ़ेंगे तो, कि फोक पेंटिंग में आता है, वारली आता है, मधुबनी आता है. यहां आपको बस क्या करना है, एक दो विजुअल्स देखने हैं और कंपेयर करना है. ओके, नाउ कमिंग बैक टू आवर medieval paintings. So these are the kind of paintings, that is the subject matter, that is the technique. Let's just briefly write it. तो आर्ट एंड कल्चर जहां आपने लिखा हो, आर्ट एंड कल्चर का जो आपका कॉपी होगा उसमें इस चीज को लिखिए. रॉक पेंटिंग्स ऑफ लिथिक एज. अच्छा, in what will happen in later times when agriculture will come in Neolithic age, they'll start depicting agriculture as well, but that will be very rare. Why rare? These people are living in caves. That means they are not practicing agriculture. So there is a kind of interaction that is taking place between the community of hunter gatherers and the agriculturalist community. So they are painting something they are looking at, they are not living that life. So the painting will be there but very rare. Okay, so write rock paintings of lithic age. मैं आपको वैसे ही लिखा रही हूं पॉइंट वाइज जैसे आपको एग्जाम में लिखना है, बिकॉज देयर इज नो यूज ऑफ राइटिंग बिग पैराग्राफ्स. You need to know what to write. Okay, so write first fact. Right, we find rock paintings in upper Paleolithic age for the first time. In upper Paleolithic age for the first times. These are paintings of big animals mostly. Paintings of big animals mostly, painted on the cave walls. Painted on the cave walls. Full stop. In Mesolithic period, we see a proliferation or an increase, आपको जो भी शब्द कंफर्टेबल लगे आप लिख सकते हैं, a proliferation in the number of paintings on these walls itself. तो हमने अपर पेलियोलिथिक का सब्जेक्ट मैटर ऑलरेडी लिख लिया है. नाउ व्हाट वील बी राइटिंग इज द सब्जेक्ट मैटर फॉर मीजोलिथिक. ओके, सो राइट साइट्स. मिर्जापुर, वेयर इज इट लोकेटेड? प्रेजेंट डे उत्तर प्रदेश. भीमबेटका, पचमढ़ी, भीमबेटका, पचमढ़ी, लाखा ज्वार. There is another site named Lakho Diyar, that is in Uttarakhand. This one is in Madhya Pradesh. So all the three sites are in present day Madhya Pradesh. Lakha Jwar in Madhya Pradesh, Jogi Mara in Chhattisgarh. Jogi Mara. Jogi Mara, that is in present day Chhattisgarh. If you don't remember, if you can't remember a lot of names, remember Bhimbetka Pachmadi. Okay, in present day Madhya Pradesh. If you can't even remember this, write paintings from central India. Okay, do not write wrong facts. When you are writing in the examination, even if you are vague, you are writing central India, that is good. Instead of writing a place where paintings have not been found. तो इस चीज का ध्यान रखना. बहुत बार अगेन आई हैव सीन दिस दैट स्टूडेंट्स डू दिस थिंग वेरी ऑफन दैट दे बिकम ओवर स्मार्ट. दे थिंक दैट द एग्जामिनर इज स्टूपिड. तो क्या किया, कुछ ऐसा नाम लिख देंगे जो कि सुना नहीं होगा. बट द पर्सन हु इज sitting there checking your copies, that person is of 60-65 years of age. He or she has read a lot. I mean, हमारी उम्र के वो 2 गुने 3 गुने लोग होते हैं. उनको बेवकूफ बनाना मजाक तो है नहीं. तो इसीलिए जो लिख रहे हैं, अगर आपको नहीं आता है, आपको गलत पता है, तो उस चीज को स्किप कर दीजिए. वो ज्यादा दिक्कत नहीं होगा, बजाय कि आपने गलत लिखा होगा. उस पर तो नंबर कटेंगे ही. आगे भी इरिटेट होके वो सोचेगा तो बेवकूफ बना रहा है, आगे और आपके नंबर कट जाने हैं. तो जब ये क्वेश्चन का आंसर एक दिया था मैंने स्टूडेंट्स को लिख के ला रहे हैं, तो वो अगेन ओवर स्मार्टनेस के चक्कर में ये पेंटिंग यहां से मिली है, ये पेंटिंग यहां से मिली है. सो अर्लियर आई यूज्ड टू डू दैट. नाउ आई हैव स्टॉप्ड दैट. आई टीच इट इन अ वेरी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव मैनर कि ये पेंटिंग है. बिकॉज what will happen, you will not remember which one is from Pachmadi and which one is from Bhimbetka. In the examination, you are going to make the mistake. If the person who is sitting there is like Yashodhar Matpal, it is going to be very negative for you. Okay, so that is why write sites first. These are the sites that I am going to talk about. This is the subject matter. These are the examples. Because this is a general studies exam, not specific studies exam. तो यहाँ आपको जनरल ही नॉलेज चाहिए. ठीक है, तो क्या लिखा हमने, साइट्स लिखा. नाउ व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ पेंटिंग. ओके, बिफोर दैट राइट टेक्निक ऑफ पेंटिंग. टेक्निक ऑफ पेंटिंग. टेक्निक ऑफ पेंटिंग. They are using straight and wavy lines. They are using straight and wavy lines and making straight and wavy, W-A-V-Y, waves की तरह ऐसे ऐसे करके बनाया. Straight and wavy lines and making stick like human figures. Making stick like human figures. Okay, sometimes x-ray depiction of humans. x-ray वाला एग्जाम्पल क्या है हमारे पास, we see that the person has just eaten fish. If you don't remember this particular aspect, x-ray वाला, that is going to be fine. Remember stick like humans, straight and wavy lines. Colors used करके डैश करके लिखिए. prominently red and white. Prominently red and white. Sometimes black, yellow and green. Black, yellow and green. उसी में डैश करके लिख दीजिए acquired from nature. Acquired from nature. पॉइंटेड डिटेल्स होंगे तो आपको रिवीजन में आसानी होगी कि हमको ये याद रखना है, ये याद रखना है, एंड दिस इज समथिंग वी हैव टू राइट इन द एग्जाम. ओके, नाउ राइट पर्पस ऑफ पेंटिंग. purpose of painting. First, they painted it for the beautification of their living spaces. For the beautification of their living spaces. Second point. These paintings probably had a utilitarian purpose, such as passing on the knowledge. Passing on the knowledge. Passing on the knowledge. See, again, when you are writing answers specifically for ancient, use these words. Probably, sometimes, always लिखना बहुत खतरनाक है, because you don't know everything. There are still some sites which are being excavated. So we can never be sure. So write mostly, sometimes, probably. This is going to show that you have an open mind. Okay. When it comes to एंशियंट, जहां पे आपको चीजें श्योर मिल रही हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल कंटेम्प्रेरी, कोई डेटा रिलीज हो रहा है, दैट इज अ डेटा विच इज कलेक्टेड विद साइंटिफिक मेथड. वहां प्रोबेबली नहीं है, वहां पे है कि भाई ये चीज है, ये फिगर है, ये पैटर्न है, इकोनॉमिक्स है, प्रोबेबली नहीं होगा. लेकिन हिस्ट्री है, बिकॉज देयर इज ऑलवेज दिस आइडिया ऑफ अक्वायरिंग न्यू सोर्सेस, सो थिंग्स कैन चेंज, स्पेशली व्हेन इट कम्स टू एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री. Okay, so that is why, right, probably, they probably had this purpose. We don't exactly know. उन्होंने हमें बताया नहीं है, कोई लिखित रिकॉर्ड नहीं है. We are just assuming it based on ethno-archaeological studies. Okay, so third point. These paintings were probably produced because of humans' belief in magic and totems. In magic and totems. In magic and totems. TOTEM, totem. Okay. Example करके, trapping the soul of animal before hunt. Trapping the soul of animal before hunt. That is the example. Trapping the soul of the animal before hunt. Okay. Now write subject matter. What is the subject matter of these paintings? So, these paintings depict the lifestyle of early humans, and the way they perceived the forest, perceived or looked at the forest. The way they looked at the forest. So they looked at the forest as a place of conflict, as a provider. ठीक है? They looked at the forest as a place of conflict and as a provider. And as a provider. क्या है हमारे पास डिटेल्स? तो हमने देखा है पेंटिंग्स ऑफ फिशिंग. सो सब्जेक्ट मैटर में राइट फिशिंग सीन्स. फिशिंग सीन्स डैश करके यूज ऑफ नेट्स. यूज ऑफ नेट्स. पीपल कलेक्टिंग हनी. So you can use these as examples जब आप अपना आंसर लिख रहे हैं. People collecting honey and monkeys grabbing it. Women collecting plants and roots. People eating fish. हाँ करते होंगे मगर हाँ तो वो जब चेज करते होंगे तो उस वक्त कलेक्ट नहीं करते होंगे ना, फिर भाग जाते होंगे. तो अभी भी तो करते हैं, हनी कलेक्ट करते हैं. तो ऐसे उनका मेथड होता होगा. वी डोंट एग्जैक्टली नो कि कैसे करते थे क्योंकि है नहीं. ये समझ सकते हैं जैसे हम अभी करते हैं. आई डोंट नो कि कैसे करते हैं अभी. मोर और लेस वैसा ही प्रोसेस होता होगा. पढ़ना पड़ेगा इसके बारे में कि हनीज को कैसे बीज को कैसे हटाते हैं. तो हाँ हाँ तो आग से यूज करते होंगे. आई एम नॉट एग्जैक्टली श्योर ऑफ द प्रोसेस एक्चुअली. तो क्या है? पीपल ईटिंग फिश. पीपल ईटिंग फिश. डिपिक्शन ऑफ हाउस and family life. And family life. family life में डैश करके लिखिए. women grinding plants. women grinding plants. breastfeeding babies. breastfeeding babies or infants. children playing. children playing. children playing. rituals में क्या दिखा रहे हैं? depicting rituals. depicting rituals. यहां डैश कर दिया. mourning the dead. mourning the dead. hunting scenes and community dance. hunting scenes and community dance. A very rare depiction of, a very rare or painting of self-representation of the artist. Self-representation of the artist. Remember that this is very rare. You hardly find it. Self-representation of the artist. Now what you have to do it when you are writing subject matter. Depicting that you are writing community life was depicted. एक example community life का यहाँ से उठा लिया. ठीक है. दे ऑल्सो डिपिक्टेड रिचुअलिस्टिक ट्रेडिशन प्रेवलेंट एट द टाइम. वहां एग्जाम्पल क्या लिख दिया? मोर्निंग द डेड. सो दिस इज हाउ यू हैव टू यूज द सब्जेक्ट मैटर वाइल राइटिंग आंसर्स. कि अपना एक आपने उस पे स्टेटमेंट दिया और उस स्टेटमेंट को सब्सटैंशिएट किया विद एग्जाम्पल. ओके. सो यू डोंट नीड टू यूज ऑल द एग्जाम्पल्स. यू नीड टू पिक सर्टेन एग्जाम्पल्स which are going to substantiate your argument or statement. Okay, so that is why I have given you so many examples. You don't need to remember each and every one of them. Okay, now write importance of these paintings. और सिर्फ write importance और dash कर दीजिए उसको. What is the importance? First, these paintings are a very important source. These paintings are a very important source to understand the socio-cultural life of lithic age. To understand the socio-cultural life of lithic age. Socio-cultural life of the lithic age. Second point, they mark the beginning. They mark the beginning of a very long painting tradition in the cultural life of Indian subcontinent. In the cultural life of Indian subcontinent. ठीक है, तो ये दो इसके इंपॉर्टेंस है. आप इसी को आंसर लिख रहे हैं, आप इसी को कंक्लूजन में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, टू सम अप वी कैन say that these paintings offer us an insight into socio-cultural life of the human being of that time, which is a beginning in a very long cultural tradition of painting in Indian subcontinent. ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से आप conclusions लिख सकते हैं, इसको introduction में यूज कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, डिपेंडिंग ऑन द क्वेश्चन दैट इज बीइंग आस्क्ड. ठीक है, ये क्लियर है चीजें, यहां कोई डाउट है? ओके, so now go back to your ancient history note and we have discussed more or less everything in Mesolithic era. Here you need to write some of the sites. Write sites. यहाँ पर again most of the sites are going to be the same. For example, Mirzapur, Mesolithic era paintings are found also there. अब Paleolithic में भी था, मीजोलिथिक में भी है. ठीक है, भीमबेटका पेलियोलिथिक में भी था, मीजोलिथिक में भी है. हियर इफ यू वांट टू रिमेंबर अ नेम, रिमेंबर द साइट बागौर. बागौर. वाई बागौर इज इंपॉर्टेंट? बिकॉज फर्स्ट बागौर में क्या है कि आपको पत्थर, स्टोन की आपको हट्स मिलते हैं, हट्स ऑफ स्टोन. दैट इज नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट टू रिमेंबर. व्हाई एम आई गिविंग यू दिस particular site? Because it is the largest excavated site of Mesolithic times in India, Bagor. Okay, so that is why remember this name. अगर आपसे प्रीलिम्स में पूछे भी कभी तो वो पूछेंगे वही जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. इंपॉर्टेंट कौन है Mesolithic में? बागौर है, because it is the largest excavated site in India till now, which is from Mesolithic times. Both these sites are in Rajasthan, Bagor and Tilwara. Otherwise, Mirzapur is there, that we have studied. Bhimbetka is there, Pachmadi is there. जो Mesolithic paintings की sites हैं वो तो है ही. Okay, here again try to connect these things. हमने पचमढ़ी की बात की. We talked about the presence of forest as a provider. Are you aware with the basic storyline of Ramayana? So it is one of the most regarded epics in India. So if you read Ramayana, you will see that there is a scene where Ram and Sita with Lakshman are going to the forest and they are establishing a hut or a kutia in Pachmadi. Pachmadi mein there is a long conversation that takes place between Ram and Sita. What is this conversation about? Sita is talking to Ram and she is saying that look at the forest, what kind of abundance is there in terms of natural resources. So they are talking about the plants, they are talking about the fruits, they are talking about the roots that is there in the forest of Pachmadi. If you go to Pachmadi today, the same thing is true there. In the case of Pachmadi, it is an area which is rich in terms of natural resources when it comes to forest produce. So again a continuity you can see. ऐसा नहीं है कि बाद में अचानक से वो साइट गायब हो जाती है. Okay, this was very rich when it comes to resources as evident in humans living there in Mesolithic times. Showing the painting that we discussed जिसमें वो honey collect कर रहे थे, that is from Pachmadi. तो forest को provider के रूप में दिखाया है. Ramayana tradition, the same thing you find. Even in present times, you find that that area is very rich in resources. So the idea of continuity in terms of looking at a particular area is also there. तो जब पढ़ रहे हैं तो इस तरीके से basic details को connect करना है. ठीक है, this is not something that any book is going to give you or you can write. ये भी नहीं है कि आप हर चीज को लिख सकते हैं. ये तो बेसिक समझ की चीज है, ठीक है। तो इस तरीके से साथ में कनेक्ट करते रहना कि अच्छा पचमढ़ी को सुन रहे हैं तो आज पचमढ़ी में क्या है, क्या उसी तरीके से है क्या जैसा पचमढ़ी यहां पर दिखाया है, ठीक है। एंड यू विल फाइंड अ लॉन्ग ट्रेडिशन ऑफ कंटिन्यूटी इन टर्म्स ऑफ लुकिंग एट दैट एरिया एज अ प्रोवाइडर। ओके, so now moving further, this is about Mesolithic. If there is any doubt till now, please ask, otherwise we'll move. क्लियर है सब कुछ? या तो आप लोग बहुत इंटेलिजेंट हैं या तो आप लोग ध्यान से सुन नहीं रहे। क्या है इसमें से सच? बहुत इंटेलिजेंट है, आई वुड होप। हाँ, so polity we talked about this fact na, that there is a certain hierarchy that is coming. We don't know the nature of it. See, you will understand the nature of it when you have evidences. Evidence हमारे पास यही है कि हायरार्की है। अब उसमें कौन लीडर है, लीडर का लोगों के प्रति बिहेवियर क्या है, वी डोंट नो, वी कांट नो दैट अनलेस और अंटिल दोज पीपल कम एंड टेल अस और वी फाइंड रिटन रिसोर्सेज जहां पे ये चीजें मेंशन्ड है, ठीक है। तो जहां नहीं पता है वहां पे हमको बस ये पता है देयर इज सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ हायरार्की, वी डोंट नो द नेचर ऑफ दैट हायरार्की। ओके, नाउ कमिंग टू नियोलिथिक। कमिंग टू नियोलिथिक, हमको पता है नियोलिथिक टर्मिनोलॉजी का माने क्या है, न्यू स्टोन एज। व्हाट इज इंपॉर्टेंट हियर? एग्रीकल्चर। Agriculture is taking place. Now a lot of things are happening in Neolithic age. There are certain factual details which we will talk about and there are certain conceptual details which we will talk about. Pay very close attention to the conceptual details because that will help you in society. That will help you in some way or the other in your essay. Okay, because at this point of time the hierarchy is going to get established. How? We'll see. So first we will discuss that. Okay, so what is happening, then we will discuss why these things are happening and what are larger factual details of this time. Let's understand it in a conceptual manner. People started practicing agriculture. Okay, when you are practicing agriculture you can't wander around, you have to be established at an area physically. That means the idea of settled life will come. Nomadic to semi-sedentary to settled. The idea of settled life. Us when we practice agriculture, if I am a farmer and so if we are a community, we are practicing agriculture, some of us will produce crops. So if this group is producing crops, this will be the case that they are producing enough for all of us. Okay, when you are hunting also, if one person has hunted one animal, it can feed at least 10 people. Okay, so when you are producing, the earth was fertile, so what will happen? This lot can produce enough for all of you. So the extra production that they don't need will be called surplus. This is surplus. Okay, so what these people are going to do? And what are we going to do with this surplus? They have surplus production. Now when you are practicing agriculture, you need a lot of things in terms of tools. You will be needing plows if you are using plows. If you are not using plows, then also you will need pots. When you are producing grains, you are going to store it. So you will need pots. You are going to cook it. You will need pots. So there is another change that is coming. Need for different kinds of crops. You are settling in an area. You will need to make houses. So you will need a person who can make a house for you. You are changing the course of nature by settling down, by producing. Your body is going to adapt to the nature of that area. You will start feeling heat, you will start feeling cold. You will need clothes as well accordingly. So you need somebody who can produce those kind of clothes for you. When you are producing, you will need somebody who can produce tools to cut the crops. So there is going to be the area of specialized craft production which will be needed with the advent of agriculture. Okay. So what will happen? Craft production. Now this person has pottery that he or she has produced. This person has extra grains, surplus crop. What will happen? Exchange. So this exchange is going to become trade. Initially, this will be barter trade because exchange of goods is happening. In later times, when things are going to get complicated, you will need some other mechanism, and that is going to mark the beginning of the money economy. Here, because it is at a very rudimentary, a very primary level, there is exchange of things. Okay, this is one thing which will take place. What else will happen simultaneously is very important to understand. When you are practicing agriculture, this is the land. Okay, so you will settle mostly around riverbeds, because the area first, the soil will be fertile. Second, easy availability of water for irrigation. Okay. Now, suppose this is the area, you have divided it amongst yourself. Okay. One person is producing here, 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 ऐसे करके है. There will be disputes. Some person might say, no, this much area is my land. Okay. There is going to be dispute. Why dispute is happening? There is the idea of private property. Why private property? Earlier, when everybody was hunting together, everybody was gathering fruits together, there was the community production which was happening. Here, when you are tilling a land, there might be one person who is working hard. There might be one person who is not contributing a lot in terms of labor. The person who is working hard, his or her area of land is going to be more productive. The other person's area might not produce a lot. So the idea of owning a land will also come. When you are settling down, when you are living in a particular space, you will say that this is my house. In the caves, when you were living in the band of 40, that idea was not there. It was a natural cave. Okay. So the idea of private property is going to come. What else will come with this? See, we talked earlier in Paleolithic age, we talked about the fact that there was no discrimination on the basis of one's gender or one's age. In today's society, if you look at it, this idea is very much prevalent. घर में कुछ नहीं करना होता है तो क्या बोलते हैं, बड़े ऐसे कहते आ रहे हैं तो मत करो. There is this very biggest division कि उन्होंने जो कह दिया वो सही है. There is a very clear cut discrimination on the basis of one's gender, which is part of our daily reality. Now, where is it coming from? It's coming from here. Okay. How? So, when you are owning a land, you would want to pass it down to the next generation. So, you would want to ensure that this is your child. How will you ensure it? By controlling the sexuality of woman you are with, then only the purity of progeny can be ensured. Because in earlier times, there was no idea of marriage, there was no idea of personal relationship, because people did not have to pass down anything. So the lack of rules and regulations was there. Here, if you have to ensure that this is your progeny to whom you are going to pass down the land, you will control the sexuality of a woman. That is going to make restrictions on her movement as well. So the idea of public sphere and the idea of domestic sphere, that is going to develop gradually. Okay. So this is one very big change that is going to come. Again, it is not going to come in a day. Changes take a lot of time. That is why when there is this talk of women's emancipation, this is also taking a lot of time, because changes cannot happen in a day. Okay. So this is one change which is coming. The other change, the division on the basis of age or discrimination on the basis of age, that is also emanating from here. How? When humans started practicing agriculture, they will need experience. which crop to grow, in which season you will grow a crop, how much seed you need to keep so that you can use it in the next season. These are the decisions which require experience. Who will be experienced? Older ones. Okay, these people will have experience, so they'll start making the decisions gradually, and that change will be consolidated in the coming times. कि बड़े हैं तो ये बता रहे हैं यही सही है. Okay, so it started from here and it will gradually get consolidated. This is another change which is going to come. क्या क्या change हुआ? In the status of women, discrimination and on the basis of age. What is it leading to? Decision making in family. So decision making in family will be consolidated in the hands of older men, because women are gradually being shifted to the domestic sphere. Okay, so the idea of a patriarch will gradually emerge, which is who is going to be the older man in the house, not even the younger ones. Okay, so that person is going to make decisions about resources, about participation of labor. What else will happen? This is happening in the family. This at a large scale, this is in the family. Now what else will happen? When you are saying that there will be disputes of land or of anything else, encroachment, you will need certain rules and regulations in the society. Here will be birth of rules and regulations in the society. You will need somebody who can ensure things are going smoothly. Only rules are not going to solve the problem. You will need a body of people who can ensure that this is being implemented properly. So in the society, what will happen? There will be emergence of a class who has power. People have given the power. Gradually what will happen? Initially you will choose people on the basis of their experience, their quality of work. Gradually there is going to be this system of passing down the power to their next generation. Again, it is going to take time. Okay, just 1 minute. These things are going to take time, but all these things are germinating here. Okay, what else will happen with this? This is going to establish a clear-cut hierarchy in the society. These people will start saying, if we are enforcing the rules, how are we supposed to practice agriculture? You will start giving them some crop, you will start giving them certain crafts. So they are gaining the resources without working for it. Okay, so there will be emergence of a class who is going to acquire resources as taxes maybe. Here we can't clearly say this is a tax, but there is going to be a class which does not need to work to produce resources. Okay, so when this class is acquiring resources, this class is going to enforce rules and regulations. This is historically going to be a class which is going to hold the power of education as well. Okay, these things are going to happen. Again, we will talk about it in Harappan civilization, how these changes are being formalized. Okay, now when we are talking about a class which is emerging, which is more powerful than the other because they have the right to enforce rules, regulations, they are going to become a bit higher in hierarchy socially and economically as well. Second thing which will happen, so one person might work harder, one person might not work that hard. What will happen? Their economic status is going to be different. Second scenario might be this person has 4 children to whom he is going to pass down the land. There will be division. This person might have only 1 child. So the whole land is going to belong to only 1 person. So what will start happening? A financial disparity amongst people. So these can be 2 ways in which there is going to be an economic stratification. Economic stratification. This is also going to become a part of people's lives. Okay, what else will happen simultaneously? They are going to follow certain rituals. See, when we are doing something, we are often afraid of the outcome. When we do anything, this is the natural tendency of humans that they'll get afraid. Why? Because we can't control things. There are certain things which are in our hand. We can do our best. Still, there are a lot of forces which are at work. What do? We get afraid. When we get afraid, we try to please those forces. This has been there historically. We start following certain rituals. Now, when you are practicing agriculture, you are prone to even more dangerous situations. How? There might be a situation of drought, there might be a situation of flooding. There is an uncertainty in terms of the occupation you have been doing. What people will start doing, even in today's agriculturalist society, you will see that before sowing the seed and during the time of cutting the harvest, there are festivals which are celebrated. Okay, so you will see that these people also started worshipping certain forces, specifically mother goddess. Here you might say that you are saying women were discriminated against, still they are worshipping the mother goddess. That is true even today. What is the logic here? The logic is, when we talk, see the term, I am not saying goddess, I am saying mother goddess. When we see mother, it is implied that that woman is bearing a child. Only a woman who bears a child, that woman is called a mother. So when we are talking about the process of reproduction, that is producing something. Okay, when you are talking about agriculture, is agriculture not about producing something? That is about producing something. So the idea of reproduction will get entwined with production. So when you are going to sow the seeds, you will worship mother goddess and you will pray for the fertility of soil. Okay, which has been the case in most of the agriculturalist societies. Okay, so that is why they are worshipping mother goddess. Now at the same time, what will happen? Because see, for an agriculturalist society, production is the most important thing. When you are attaching the idea of fertility with the fertility of a woman, that society is automatically going to discriminate against women who cannot have children or who do not want to have children. Okay, so that is going to be there. Think about the continuity. If you look at India, you will see mostly in rural areas, you will see that women who don't have children, they are not even made a part of the celebrations which are related to reproduction of a child or celebrations which are considered auspicious. Why? This is the reason. This mentality has been there. Or women who say that we don't want to have children, they are often judged, they are often discriminated against, because the idea of fertility has become very important. Okay, and again it emanates from here, but it is going to take multiple forms. The idea of a woman getting married will also become very important. So in coming times, you will see that there are going to be texts which specifically say that the day a woman is getting her first menstrual cycle, she should be married. Why? Because now she is physically prepared to bear a child. Fertility is very important. So these kind of things are also going to emanate from here. The division, you will see that there is a disparity between the age of a woman who is going to get married and the age of a man who is going to get married. So where these ideas are coming from? These ideas are coming from here only. Okay, and with time they are going to develop, with time they are going to get consolidated in forms of rules and then laws. Okay, so this idea is also being born here, worship of mother goddess, and simultaneously in a way dejecting somebody who can't become a mother or who doesn't want to become a mother. That is also a product of this particular time. So all these changes are taking place. Again, if you see a tribal society, in tribal society, why status of women is better? There is no idea of private property. There is the idea of collective ownership of the resources. So all these problems will not arise only. Okay, so there is again a kind of difference. When we will study Vedic age also, we will see that when they were pastoral people, there is a lot of freedom to women. The status of women was relatively good. They had the right to marry. They were part of the education system. They were participating in political decisions. But as soon as they are going to become agriculturalists, all these problems are going to creep in. So this is a basic conceptual difference between an agriculturalist society and a society which is not practicing agriculture. Okay, ये चीज क्लियर है? तो ये कुछ कॉन्सेप्चुअल चीजें हैं. वी कैन हैव अ ब्रेक एंड आफ्टर दैट वी कैन राइट इट डाउन एंड देन वी कैन मूव ऑन टू फैक्चुअल डिटेल्स. इज देयर एनी डाउट टिल नाउ? ये समझ में आ गई चीजें? ठीक है, चलिए फिर वी विल मीट आफ्टर अ ब्रेक. It is 10:10. We will meet at 10:40.